for the first time since December of 2017, we have a new antlered animal in the Hunter Classic, and that of course is the axis deer. So our upload schedule this week is just all over the place. I don't even know what's going on, but I certainly don't mind. I'm really excited to get out here on Bushrangers Run and go after these guys, and I wanted to address this right away because this video is going to be uploaded earlier than usual. This is going to be the only video today. We'll kind of get things sort of back to normal later in the week, although there is going to be no Throwback Thursday game yet again. Tomorrow's video is going to be called the Wild though, so in the meantime, we'll get out here and go after axis deer. They are, according to the map, kind of common prey around both outposts, so they could be likely anywhere. And my favorite way to kind of hunt, especially new animals on bushrangers, is to sort of go up on these high points and scout around, so hopefully we can get eyes on some. Well, for our first axis deer, we don't exactly have a huge one, but at least it is a buck, and it's kind of pretty far out there, so I'm glad we'll grab the 764 and the larger scope. I'm just guessing based on the size of axis deer that even a not so ideal angle shot will probably bring him down. Kind of looking through the brush there a little. Gonna have to be a little bit high. And I'm pretty sure we got him, and I say that's going to take him down. In fact, it's taken him down pretty good and quickly, so he may not be huge, but our first axis deer down is a buck even. I don't imagine that's as small as they get, but he's no doubt a smaller end one. 81 kg though. He's 16.1 CSS, so definitely going to be lower, and actually, right lung shot at 270 meters. I'm pretty pleased with that. So I guess because he is our first, we'll go ahead and take a trophy shot of him. There are axis deer trophy shot poses already out, and it looks like a lot of the deer species, only one actually has the animal kind of laying down. The other three are like standing poses, so maybe I'll spin around to take a quick look at those again. But for our purposes, we'll probably mostly be using this one here. And for what it is, I think we'll call that good for the trophy shot. That angle to only get lung is so interesting, but I'm really excited to see what a bigger axis buck looks like, so we're going to be on our way and hopefully we can go and find one. Somewhat accidentally, we're getting a close-up look at our second axis deer, which is of course a doe, and there is an axis deer collar, and at this point being as close as we are, I think we'll try to bring it in and take it with the bow. That was an interesting sound. I'm not too sure what to think about that, but as long as it'll bring her this way. We've got the carbon recurve today, which gives us a little more range, and one thing I actually want to know is like how big the female axis deer are going to be, because the male being 81 kg kind of surprised me, and for whatever reason she doesn't seem too keen on coming this way, so at about 30, I think we can do that. Actually even managed the drop shot, so not going to spook anything else. I really do wonder if there's going to be others in the area. They seem to be pretty much traveling solo at the moment, but I would assume that there would be some herd, so I think it's good to take them silent when we can. Looking at the blood and the arrow placement, I think we got spine one, and we absolutely did. 35 kg for the female, so the buck that we shot earlier, I assume was pretty small, and I would guess it would be a lower weight one as well, but it was well above the max weight for axis deer in Call the Wild, so I wonder do they get up to like 90 or 95 kg, maybe like blacktail? Because if they don't, it's going to be a brand new weight range, which would be kind of interesting and just another thing to kind of have to remember. These guys really do blend in quite well with their environment. I barely even realized that guy's out there, and I mean, not much of an improvement over our first one, but I do think he's bigger, and we saw at this kind of range we can do pretty well, so we'll try a similar shot. Should be sort of right above the spot. Once again he's going to run off. I'm curious, I know we got a pretty decent hit on him, but I'm going to say not a lung shot. The 7x64 is pretty powerful, so I do think it's going to take him down, but certainly is going farther than I would have expected. It's a good thing this wasn't very big, because we're just barely going to get to him in time, and it's probably going to force us to fast travel. There's no way we're going to get back into the reserve, but at the very least we're going to get to claim it and see the score. I want to actually see the weight as well. Pretty much the same. right around 81 kg and 80.5 score this time, so a good bit better. And yeah, there's just no chance that we get back, so we did actually just fast travel. I think this essentially buys us a new one, so might as well go up into this area and see how we do. Or odd? I guess you can go to an outpost but not a tent. Well, this does answer one of the questions that I had about access tier. At least for does, they will actually travel in small groups, and I think there are at least 3 here. But we spent almost 30 minutes over there on the west side of the map, and there weren't any access tier to speak of, so I'm guessing they are more towards the center and eastern side of the map, especially since we've just got back to the center and already found some. But there's this thing that I've been working on forever, which is trying to get at least 100 harvests of every species. It unlocks a profile banner that I quite like, and with the opportunity, I think we'll go ahead and smoke one of those does and just add one to our total. It's at least what we're doing right now. Pretty open all around us. I've been trying to go along the sort of, it's not a river, but I guess this wetlands area. And like I said, it's pretty wide open, so I think a gunshot is going to be fine. And while it is only a doe, nice to get another one down. That appears to be body blood though. It was a lung shot, so they may have a similar issue to something we've seen with the bison in the past, where it doesn't always show like the best blood, if that makes sense. Sometimes with bison, you can make a lung and intestine shot and it shows the intestine blood, so it might be something similar. But I noticed earlier, right after we shot our buck, there were one set of access to your tracks along this kind of like wetlands area, and now we've shot a doe and saw a couple more near it as well, so maybe it's a kind of spawn point for them. Ooh, that looks way better than either of the bucks that we saw before. We're not going to be able to get a score or weight estimate because we're not even level 3 spotting, let alone level 5. But, I mean, just to compare to what we see in Call of the Wild, that's a pretty darn big buck, and this might be an opportunity to get a better idea of just how big they get weight-wise. I wanted to call them in because it seemed like there were a bunch kind of wandering around once again by this sort of wetland area, and we're a bit further south. I fast traveled and wanted to come up around and kind of see what was in this area, and we've not even gotten to there, and we have easily the best buck we've seen thus far coming in. So I don't know how big they get. I've not looked at the leaderboards. I've kind of tried to stay away from any pictures I might see just to kind of properly get a first impression on video. And I mean, looking at that, if that's what a trophy access tier looks like, I'm going to be really pleased. And if they get bigger, that's even better. If we can get them with the recurve, I think that would be pretty darn cool. I want to get like a 20-ish meter shot. That's an interesting animation they do. I don't think any other species do that. That sounded to me like an access tier. Actually managed to drop him. We're not going to get to ID that, so I've heard a little bit of like the calls that the access tier do, but it's been, I'm pretty sure, all access tier does. Is that a buck back there as well? That's not a bad one either. I'm pretty sure the call that we just heard was like behind us and to our left. So what do we do? Like, there's no way we're going to drop all the does. I almost feel like we should drop that buck with a gun and then make a decision after that. Maybe climb up that mountain and kind of scan around. Because we're just going to end up spooking the buck in the long run. So let's get this guy, because he's certainly not a bad one. And then we can, like I said, maybe go and look around. I still think the one that we shot first is bigger. But maybe this is a spot to go for. Might grab this tent and move it a little further south, because clearly there are a bunch of bucks around. If I'm right, that other call that we heard was a third one, but what do we have for a score for this guy? Number one, we looked out again, 100 kg and a 146. So again, I'm not sure how big they get, but that's gotta be a pretty good one. I think that'll be a pretty good trophy shot, and especially for the fact that we just don't know how big they get. I'm not gonna tax anything. You can sell them and then go back and tax them from the hunt stats, so we'll kind of wait and see if any of them are all that special. But it was, I think, 60 CSS, so I'd say they would get a good bit bigger. Now, for this guy, he's a little bit taller maybe, but I don't think he's as wide, so I assume he's going to be a lower score. 85 kg, and yeah, 136, so not bad. And now I wonder, like there was that other one that called. I wonder if they're just more common to be in that size than I would have guessed. After seeing the first two, and them being that small, I really thought we were onto something, but I'll go and have a look at the leaderboards and see what's kind of like towards the top end. And in the meantime, maybe we can get eyes on what I believe to be the third axis buck in the area. It's about impossible to say if that's our buck, but he's definitely not huge. I think though, we are going to go ahead and try to take him out, and probably wrap up this hunt. Now, I did go back and look, they seem to go up to around 200, if not maybe even a little bit bigger, so the 146 we shot, while a pretty good looking buck, definitely is nowhere near the top end, which, like I said, the fact that they get bigger than that is super encouraging, and I can't wait to see a better size one. So, real quick, we'll take a look. It seems like male axis deer are 80 kg or higher, and with our 5th axis deer buck of the hunt scoring 84, I think we are going to wrap up. Now, if you want to see more axis deer hunting, I am going to be streaming this map over on Twitch tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/flintergaming, so we do classic streams every single Wednesday at that time, and especially with the new release, it should be fun to go after the axis deer. But anyway, first impressions, as always, I thought the axis deer looked really good, and as I just mentioned, I really want to see just how big they're going to get, but they seem to be fun to hunt. I'm wondering if we've kind of figured out something with the water and hunting them in those kind of areas, but we'll have to see that as we go forward. So, as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.